Are you happy? Well, some of us say yes to that. Some of us say no. If you say no, keep listening. If you said yes, tell me, how do you know you're happy? Like, what's your definition of happy? Okay. Where did you learn that definition? Hmm. When you get down to it, women in midlife many times are living a life they were told they should love, that they were told they'd be successful and perfect at, that they were told is going to be so joyous when you do all these things. What are the things? Getting married, having kids, getting a career. Doesn't really matter what the narrative was that you were given. You were given that narrative. And if you've hit midlife, then you have hit the realization that living someone else's dream is not happiness. It's not joy. It's sometimes not even contentment. It's feeling stuck. It's feeling anxious. It's feeling like, what am I doing wrong? I did all the things that I was told to do. And here I am, I've arrived at, I don't really like it. If this is you, keep listening. My name is Dr. Natalie Marr, and I am a self-empowerment coach for midlife women. It is my absolute passion to help women in midlife liberate themselves from these old rules, these old ideas, these old goals that never were really ours. They were definitions put together for us, and we bought into it because that's what you do. You listen to your family, you listen to social norms, you listen to culture, and yet it hasn't really served us, has it now? If you're sitting in a position of not liking your life right now, then I really want you to listen to what these women have to say about the Learn to Love Your Story program.
And to go through an actual curriculum of videos and thoughtful process of meditation and self-awareness and giving myself self-compassion and looking back on my life, I was able to create a different story that was more positive for me and allowed me to forgive myself for the things that I didn't like about my story. But then also, probably the biggest thing I gained from this was I now have self-respect. I don't feel that I need to be that person for everybody else. And I can take care of me and not feel guilty. And I can look back at my story and not feel guilty.
But when you go through so many significant changes in such a short time, you really have to readjust and discover who you are now. Because who I was, as I look back, every 10 years was a significant change in who I was.
Well, I knew that I wanted to jump into some kind of, I was thinking about psychotherapy or something else, and I really liked the idea of doing a cohort model with Learn to Love Your Story and just the self-awareness, the self-acceptance, and I really found the curriculum incredibly helpful for guiding me through that process.
I learned how to speak my truth. I learned how to listen to myself. And I learned how to, when in a confrontational situation or a painful situation, take care of my needs.
Have you hit that point in life where things are just feeling stuck? Maybe your kids are growing up, moving out. Maybe your relationship has ended. Maybe you're just a woman in midlife trying to navigate the workplace, and especially post COVID. And everything just feels, I don't know, blah, honestly.
I just went through this major life transition. The devil angel on my shoulder going, well, if you had only done this, or if you'd only looked this way.
And this 60s, let me tell you, it was a bumpy ride. but I'm starting to feel like I'm off that dirt road and moving on in a good way.
Ooh, it just opened up some doors for me to see things more clearly and respect myself more.
And if you're still wondering if this is something for me, maybe that group thing is what really doesn't seem to fit for you, have a listen to what these ladies said about that. Listen as they tell you about how, when they started this program, they didn't even really know if a group setting was going to work for them.
When I first came in, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't sure that the group was gonna work for me. I was thinking, oh, people are at different places. We have different kinds of things going on. A couple of people were recently divorced. I'm in a 31-year marriage. So I was like, well, I don't know how are we going to relate. But there were so many common.
And doing it with the group was incredible because it makes you think about things in a different context because they bring up different thoughts and stories from their life that help you to reflect and then tell your story in a different manner.
The cohort piece, I would say the cohort piece just added just watching other people on their journeys kind of on a month-to-month basis. It was sort of like I had this internal journey of my own, but then I could see on more of a step-by-step kind of a step back view of other people's journeys and their growth. And I just found that so inspiring and really powerful. And it felt empowering to me to know that I was on that same kind of journey, even though sometimes it felt messier because I'm sort of walking along in the middle of it. So I loved the cohort model. I would definitely recommend it.
I'm a self empowerment coach for women in midlife. It is my passion to be sure that women in midlife know how to liberate their joy. And you can, I promise you. If you're one of these women that feels really stuck, really in this position in life that you never thought you'd be in, where you did all the right things, on the outside, it looks like you have a great life. Everybody else is like, how does she hold all that together? And on the inside, you're like, I don't want to be here. Or maybe, should I want to be here? You're real confused. You're trying to sort everything out. And in the meantime, you're still responsible for children, probably aging parents, jobs, spouses. And man, life just feels like a hustle. And maybe it'll surprise you that this Learn to Love Your Story program is really meant to help you find yourself, to help you love yourself. And maybe you thought you loved yourself, but you don't. At least not enough for it to make the difference for you to be able to find the joy.
And to be honest, the title Learn to Love Your Story felt like a tiny bit woo to me. Because I didn't think I hated my story, but I've learned a lot about just maintaining a non-judgmental stance for myself and really having that observer self so I can have some capacity to notice my emotions, respond with my emotions versus just reacting to a situation. So that framework of not what should I do, but like what's best for me and approaching things with self-compassion has really been life-changing. And I wholeheartedly thank Dr. Marr and the rest of my cohort for being a part of that journey.
I came into this as I was going through some major changes in my life, troublesome relationships with my children. I recently had left working full time as a kindergarten teacher and had a huge void in my life and was trying to figure out who I was. Because I wasn't a wife anymore. I wasn't an active mom anymore. I wasn't a kindergarten teacher anymore. And I just didn't know who the hell
And
I
I
was.
want you to listen to these ladies. They were just like you. They were stuck at a point in their lives where they really just needed something to steer them in the direction of being able to empower themselves to make different choices and find the joy in their life. It may surprise you how the Learn to Love Your Story methodology really is meant to liberate, personally liberate you. It is here for women in midlife to transcend this place in life where they don't like where they're living anymore. If that's you, then listen for just another minute.
I recommend it for people who are struggling with relationships and struggling with really loving themselves.
I think something that has been good for me, I just realized it's more self-respect for myself. I'm I'm not doing things to be the people pleaser if it's disrespectful to me. Come into my house and tell me what I should and shouldn't be doing.
Because what I have found for myself is I let people dangle that carrot in front of me. You can have this someday. Maybe someday. Maybe if you're better, you could have this. And even with my friendships, with all kinds of things, I have started to really look at myself and say, I should be respected and cared for in that same manner that all of you expect. So I'm not I'm not biting at the carrot anymore. If it doesn't come, I let it go.
I learned how to look at myself in a non-judgmental way. Really helped push me to learn what I needed and find a way to get what I needed without infringing on other people and yet still meet my
Now, I
needs.
know you're still a little dubious. Really, a personal development program like my own personal growth is going to transcend me, liberate me into my life of joy. I promise you it will. And if anything, just start following Learn to Love Your Story. I'm constantly putting out free stuff anyway, and you can always benefit from that.
Sign up. You don't have anything to lose, but have everything to gain. And you are worth more than any of that stuff you're carrying. And so jump on. It's a good ride.